This video is brought to you in part by Squarespace. Yeah, you're probably pretty familiar with that name by now on this channel, and that's no surprise. I love working with these guys, and I love their program. Long and short of it, if you're trying to get yourself a website online, Squarespace are the people you want to work with. I've personally always been intimidated at the idea of even starting a website, but these guys got me up and going within half an hour. I spend more time on character creators in video games. It takes you just a handful of minutes to get the basics, and they walk you through everything, no matter how intricate you want to get. They have a ton of preset designs that you can just get up and going at your heart's content, and it all looks super professional. And for those of you who want to get a little bit more bold and creative, you can go behind the curtains and tweak every little thing to your heart's content. If you're trying to put together a shop, portfolio, or whatever, they have tools that can track your growth, help you build an ad campaign, integrate with other social media platforms, and again, all of that is streamlined and easy to understand. It takes very little effort to get something clean and professional up in front of the world. Having your own domain name looks super sexy on a business card. And to make it even easier, if you head over to squarespace.com/gameapologist, you will get 10% off your first purchase. Seriously, you could get this done in the time it takes you to watch this video. Thank you again to Squarespace for helping out, and on with the show.
The Knuckles show is the most disappointing thing since my son, who I left abandoned at a Target. I might be a deadbeat, but at least it wasn't a TJ Maxx. Would you like a Cool Ranch Dorito? Email this web zone if you would like a Cool Ranch Dorito.
For the first time ever, Knuckles has landed his very own television show, a 6-part Paramount Plus miniseries. If you're a fan of this channel, you're probably already very aware of how important that particular character is to me. And while I have had my critiques of Sonic's second movie, overall I was very happy with the introduction of Movie Knuckles. Still, I felt they missed on a lot of storytelling potential with the Echidna, as Knuckles brought along a whole lot of world building into the main game series. And from what I was seeing from the franchise, with the movie, the prequel comic to the movie, even the junior novelization of said movie, I saw them alluding to a lot of history for the Echidna that was worth exploring, something the franchise itself seemed fairly interested in re-examining thanks to that mini cartoon for Sonic Frontiers. So you can only imagine I was nothing but excited when they announced that Knuckles would be getting his own series. Could they give us more of his own backstory? Maybe even tell us what's going on with Angel Island. Will it be appearing in the future, or maybe it was lost somewhere in the past? If nothing else, I hope they have a bowling tournament. God, I hope they have a bowling tournament! I've never been a fan of the human-heavy elements of Sonic. I know a lot of folks disagree, but it's just not for me. And if I'm completely honest, the live-action movies were a bit too corny for my liking. It's the last remnants of washed-up actors hanging out with imaginary animals in trucks, a trend that should have died out 15 years ago, but bless their hearts, they're keeping the dream alive. Yeah, I would still prefer a full CG movie, but hey, this concept is still fun for the most part, and they're earnest, and the fluffy animal people themselves are wonderfully designed, animated, and they're ridiculously engaging, charming, and they work well enough with the world they are building in these films. And yeah, if you're coming to this video after my reviews of those other two films, I understand how this might sound a little harsher when you compare how I feel to the movies, but I think I was a little bit too lenient on them in those videos. While I do think most of my opinions on them still stand, truth be told, I don't really revisit them. And even when I do, it's mostly for specific scenes, Sonic-related scenes. I could do just fine without Tom and Maddie, I think they're fine, but that's not why I bought my tickets, and I could certainly do without the likes of Rachel and Wade. So just to tell you up front right now, if you still haven't seen the show and you've been on the fence about whether or not you want to see it, well, if you found the post-wedding scene in Sonic 2 as tedious, cringy, and obnoxious as I did, well, I got some bad news for you. And for everyone else who did enjoy that scene, hey, you'll probably have a good time here. Good for you. I'd also recommend that you click off this video right now, because I'm about to hurt some feelings. Now, generally, I try to be a bit more positive, but man, this show brought some really ugly feelings out of me, and I got to exercise this demon. And don't get me wrong, I was even okay with the idea of Knuckles dinking around Earth in some lighthearted adventure, because yeah, I get it, the movies are plenty cheesy, especially anything to do with Wade Whipple, and yes, that is his name. Might sound silly, but then again, I'd be a hypocrite because my full name, after all, is Nick Nipple. Whether or not you enjoy this show depends entirely on whether or not you like what Wade brings to the table, because this is Wade's show. Yeah, I know, everyone else has complained about it. There is a reason we're all upset about this. This is not Knuckles' show. This is Wade's. They should have called it Wade is Boss. Oh, I'm sorry. Are you already sick of all the Wade jokes? Well, join the club. It's so weird. I have no idea who this show is for. Doesn't feel like it's for kids. I'm not a parent. I have no idea. I can't speak for children, but I would imagine most of them would get bored with this show. Knuckles is barely in this thing. And besides all that, after watching this, I feel like this is skewing a little older. There are a ton of references to a bunch of late 90s and early 2000s comedies, The Mighty Boosh, The Ninja Turtles, all the crap that my generation grew up with. I swear to God, my turtles have more screen time than Knuckles in that 4th episode. Might be the closest I ever get to a crossover anyway. But here's the thing, whether you are a late stage millennial or a little kid or anyone in between, we all grew up with Sonic. So why not just give us more Knuckles? That's what we're all here for. This franchise is 30 years old. I'm tired of pretending that the parents that are watching this alongside their kids aren't already familiar with these characters. So please, spare me the excuse that they're trying to appeal to a wider audience. Are you an executive or are you here to enjoy the show? All the advertising outside of 4 weird posters focused up on Knuckles. That's why people want to watch this show. Maybe your dumb kid loves it. Great. That's not who this video's for. This is very much a, but what did the 30-year-olds think in video form? I know plenty of people enjoy what the show is putting down. It is a comedy. It is trying to make you laugh. And if it made you laugh, well, hey, all the power to you. Looks like a lot of these folks had a lot of good time making this. Good job, guys. I'll stick that right there on the fridge for you. But if you're like me, showing up because you wanted to see Knuckles and a story focused on him, and you left dissatisfied, if not a little annoyed or offended, then I think you're more than a little validated to feel that way. It's okay if you're frustrated because you didn't want Wade Whipple, or the poor man's Team Rocket, or Princess Bride, or Nyarf, or Dodgeball, or even my beloved Ninja Turtles. We were all here for Knuckles, and just like his only spin-off game back in the 90s, he really feels like he was slapped on as an afterthought only to get more people in the door. But unlike that weird 32X game, I'm not expecting the Whipple Detective Agency to be birthed from this project. Oh god, they might actually do that. This is a family of cops. I gotta tell you, I did not expect this show to bring out some real ugly anger in me. I was genuinely surprised. And to be fair, not to be too TMI, but my personal life has been pretty rough. I haven't really cared a whole lot about media for a bit. All of this stuff felt so trivial, but after watching this show, I felt like I got double divorced. So thank you, Knuckles, for allowing me to feel again. Okay, obviously I am over-exaggerating here, but after my first watch, I genuinely hated this show. I do apologize for rampaging and sassing it up on Twitter. I know that got annoying. I'm sorry. After I got off of social media, calmed down a bit. Yes, I do see a little bit more of what people like about this show. Absolutely. I can understand why you don't think this is the worst piece of Sonic media out there. But I still stand by what I said on social media. This was one of the worst experiences I personally have ever had with any piece of Sonic media. And I think that's kind of interesting, because really, even if there wasn't a lot of Knuckles here, there was a lot of things I should personally love. I love comedies. I love a lot of the comedians involved with this show. Even the infamous 4th episode was directed by one of the Lonely Island guys, and I love that band, and oh my god, another Lonely Island guy directed the Chip and Dale's movie, and I just realized that there is a direct connection between the Knuckles show and Ugly Sonic. Maybe I was way too lenient on Netflix. Speaking of Lonely Island, where the hell is Angel Island? Oh, there it is, drawn onto a blank CD. That's nice. Thank you for acknowledging that, show. I mean, at this point, might as well show me a Genesis cartridge. Why a blank CD? I guess pirating media is okay as long as we're using outdated technology. Look, I've been a huge proponent of bringing in more humor to the Sonic franchise in general, and even bringing in elements from other canon. I enjoy different interpretations of these iconic characters. I enjoy the history of all the wild canons we have out there, and I've been pretty chill about some things that really tick off a lot of other folks in the fan base. But truth be told, a lot of that is just interest in the history of the franchise. And just because it's different doesn't mean I have to like it. And buddy, I did not like this show. And I have to wonder, with all the people defending this particular show, how would you feel if they swapped Knuckles out for Shadow? Because that's a real possibility. Hope you all enjoy that Gerald Robotnik firing squad done by a bunch of Muppets. So yeah, Nick is gonna be a little sassy today. We're not doing any kind of apologizing. You had your warnings. You have other YouTubers who have already said their piece and they love it just fine. But I'm not one of them. So let's take a look at the Knuckles show and why it ignited the flames of disaster within my heart. I will admit the show kicks off strong enough, showing Knuckles running through through an obstacle course obviously inspired by the games, even hitting a goalpost. I could do without all the licensed music, but hey, Warrior is a solid thematic choice for this one and only scene. Sure would get obnoxious if I had to hear it 6 times in a row. And I gotta say once again, the furries are wonderfully animated. Also, shout out to this being one of the only times Sonic has actually put headphones over his ears. Idris Elba wasn't ever my favorite choice for Knuckles, and he's still not selling the character to me here. It's fine, just not my favorite, especially since they try to keep emphasizing that he's supposed to be a kid.
One of our kids gets a little...
Your kid did this.
Where have you taken me?
Yeah, that sounds like a child. Kind of feel like they've made this character fairly one note. But hey, that's great. That's why we have this TV series, so we can really explore this character and see his growth, and we're not gonna get any of that. Anyway, Knuckles plays Union Buster and beats up a bunch of construction workers, then sets up a gladiator arena for a dog. And I do enjoy those scenes. I'm not gonna pretend I don't. They are adorable. What's less adorable is the blatant Doritos commercial, especially since I don't think he actually eats any of them. He just leaves a perfect little trail of chips over to a tree, and then they just splash around his face. It's so awkward. I'm sure you're enjoying those Cool Ranch Doritos. But then we shift away from the cartoon animals to move over to a bunch of live action people who act even more like cartoons. Here is the actual star of the show, Wade Whipple, losing a bowling game to a little sassy Girl Scout because apparently that joke is still funny. At least she thinks so, because this kid can't stop herself from smiling through this entire scene. Sloppy acting. What an idiot. Your parents should be ashamed. I hope they abandoned you at a discount clothing store. Is Gun still around? Heard they're pretty good at taking care of blonde brats. Hashtag cap that kid. And we're also briefly introduced to Jack Sinclair. Yes, the guy from Mighty Boosh. He is everything wrong with the show, but also the very best part of the show. He's a bounty hunter, which, okay, I suppose that checks out. My buddy Connor the Waffle ran into Dog the Bounty Hunter at an airport and can confirm these guys actually look this insane in real life. Anyway, Jack drops Wade from the team and replaces him with a Girl Scout for this tournament in Reno, and well, hang on, I know I'm jumping way ahead here, but is this a team-based tournament or is it a solo tournament? Because they kind of show, I don't care. Back to Knuckles, who is grounded and a bit lost about his place in the world, and that's where we get sounded out here, Pachacamac. Yeah, alright, that joke worked too, because this is a very confusing name. And look, I'm not exactly a die-hard fan of this character, I can't even say his name right, but I don't like this. It's not offending me, but it's definitely rubbing me the wrong way. I mean, yeah, Patchy serves the same simple function in this show as he did in the only game he appeared in, only showing up for a couple minutes here and there to help push the plot along. But in the games, he was the leader of an ancient Echidna tribe. He's the one who pushed them towards war and violence and coveting the power of the Master Emerald. Here, he's a chill little comedy ghost voiced by Doc Brown, because you remember Back to the Future, right? Anyway, the chief tells Knuckles that it's up to him, as the last surviving Echidna, to carry on their warrior culture by preparing Wade Whipple for a bowling tournament. That does not make any kind of sense. And spoilers, Knuckles does not really train this guy to be a warrior, nor does he prep him for bowling. The dog gets more training from Knuckles than Wade. I'm just gonna chat it out now. I thought it was kind of strange to drop Pachycephalosaurus of all characters here to help guide Knuckles. At first, I thought it might be more fitting to have Tikal here, but I think there'd be bigger implications if they dropped her in here, and I don't think she'd be really focused on trying to keep Echidna culture alive. I guess what's bothering me here is not only how this character is used when compared to game canon, but also how the role of the Echidnas themselves play out in the movie canon. They weren't exactly a kind bunch, and it's weird to see them represented so chill here. But to be fair, from Knuckles' point of view, that could be a completely different story, and there's potential for an interesting story here. We know the other side of things with the Echidnas and the owls, and that's something that Sonic and Knuckles both touched on in the second movie. And as we will see with Wade and his daddy issues, there could be potential for Knuckles to come to terms with the horrors of his tribe. Maybe there's more going on to this chilled out ghost. That'd be a great parallel to Wade's story and a solid way to connect the two. And as I was scripting this, I watched Pup's video and we're on the same wavelength here. He actually explained it a little bit better. So shout out to Pup, check out his videos, and also Pup, I'm so sorry to make you edit another video about this stupid show. Now, why there are ghosts here and why Knuckles can suddenly see them, I don't know.
How does this ghost stuff even work?
Yeah, how does that ghost stuff even work? Is Maria going to be a ghost? It's fine, don't question things, just consume. So, from there, Knuckles heads over to Wade's house just a few minutes too early. Wade was about to take himself out and save me a whole lot of horrible jokes. Anyway, they pick up Dum Dum, and now they're heading off to Reno. Then we switch over to the villains of the piece. I know everyone calls them Jesse and James, and I'm not about to buck that trend. And we get a good dose of overacting from this bob top lady, and then there's this cool, quiet dude.
I hear the mushroom planting is beautiful this time of year, my friend. Enjoy!
Oh no, buddy. Oh no.
This is Kid Cudi, and well, at least it looked like he had a good time on set. Yeah, I'm not a huge fan of these performances, and especially of Cudi. That was a little rough.
Lil Pig, where are you? I know you're here somewhere. I'm gonna find you.
What was that take? It's not even how the rhyme goes. You're a musician, man. Anyway, these two baddies are going to track down Knuckles at the behest of, I don't know. See, they show the main villain and they don't really say who this guy is. Like, literally, they never give him a name, and he's not going to matter until the last episode. All I know is he's intending to fight Knuckles with Knuckles' own hair, which, all right, fair, that lines up with the first movie. We know that there's power in those quills. There's no actual problem with it. I just think it's very funny that this man has a hair gun and Hulk gloves. Now that I think about it, why didn't the movie merch have a pair of Hulk hands except they were Knuckles gloves?
Grapes was an interesting choice for someone who doesn't use their individual fingers.
Yeah, it is a weird choice. So was bowling. He wears boxing gloves. How do you... Oh. Anyway, Wade and Knuckles head over to a bowling alley so Knuckles can get an idea of what Wade's battleground is like, only to discover it's not a battleground, it's
It is a playground for adult idiots.
yeah, kind of like the set of this show. This is also where we get Wade's backstory explaining that he was taught everything he knew about bowling from his dad, who abandoned him at a TJ Maxx. And Wade, if you were my kid, I'd abandon you too. But you can't really blame Pistol Pete. He's British. They have TK Maxx over there. He just got confused. Yes, I know if you're wondering about Pistol Pete, and I got a lot to say about him later. But yeah, this somber little moment where we actually get a little bit more texture to Wade as a character, understanding who he is, what he's all about, and giving us a chance to have our two characters connect, is interrupted with the arrival of Team Rocket. And there's a fun fight while Wade makes stupid jokes, and they take that iconic moment from Knuckles' introduction and just marvel it right into the ground. Knuckles takes these two out relatively easily, but with a sneak attack ring, he's trapped in a cage, which, to be fair, was a slick move. We get a little more bad acting, and that's where the first episode ends. The next one kicks off at the Ice Cap Ski Resort. You remember that place? You get it? References. And we get a little montage of Wade prepping to save Knuckles to holding out for a hero. I swear to God, there's just somebody in Hollywood who just thought Footloose was just the greatest thing on the planet, because this song has played more often in movies than it ever has on the radio. So all of this is very silly and absurd, which is fine because it's all coming from Wade's imagination. Of course, he's going to play a Home Alone fantasy in his head. Ooh, is that a Sonic 4 Episode 2 reference? Maybe, maybe not. But there's no mistaking the E.T. reference later on, because there's just no sense of reality we can ground ourselves in so we can get a handle on the stakes. And nah, you're right, kids media, don't think about it. Kids are stupid, and I'm stupid to care. I do have to wonder though, why isn't Wade being a cop? Like, okay, yeah, it's Wyoming, very funny, but like, he's got a gun, right? And look, even failing that, maybe call Maddie? You probably wouldn't have to wait that long for Sonic to arrive. I heard he's fast. Like I already said, and I will say many more times, not a fan of Wade. But so far, the show is fine. It's serviceable. Even these two idiot villains aren't all that bad so far. We get a quick chat between Knuckles and British lady, who says Knuckles knows nothing about her, but by the end of all this, he will. Spoilers, he won't. I will say, all that buildup of Wade's plan just to watch it immediately screw up, while predictable, is still kind of funny. Though I don't know why they had this awkward shot of Wade waiting for the fireworks to blow up. Just cut straight to the blow up. That would have been much funnier. I didn't care a whole lot for the silly fight nonsense that takes place after between Wade and Cudi, with Wade accidentally buffooning his way to victory. But there is a payoff payoff to him flying around with his Hulk glove earlier, as he's learned how to at least make use of the rockets and sends it shooting off to release Knuckles and causes a huge explosion that knocks out British Lady. Now, why they don't relieve these two agents of their gear and take them into custody, I have no idea. So far, Knuckles has been pretty consistent with his warrior code, and I'm pretty sure he just told them he can't wait to murder them. I don't know why Knuckles is urging to flee so badly. They won. Guess we just need to have a conflict later on, so they're just gonna glide off, and there's that reference to a movie you haven't seen as often as you've seen parodies of it. There's another scene after this where Knuckles is sitting next to a pack of Lays with some real Jeff Keighley energy, talking with Wade about how much dumb luck got them out of that situation. Knuckles isn't exactly impressed until Wade offers a different perspective. It wasn't pretty, but they got the job done. A victory is still a victory. And we get more emphasis on Knuckles not having a home. Just, God, I know it's a different continuity, but it stings every single time they say it. I do have to wonder if Angel Island has been reinterpreted as the Echidna Afterlife. They keep mentioning the great battlefield in the sky. Don't know, but don't like that I gotta search this hard for Knuckles lore in a Knuckles show. But yeah, this is their very, very sad attempt at the actual story for Knuckles himself, where Wade is trying to become a warrior, Knuckles is trying to accept Earth as his home. After they head out, they kick on the radio only to have it interrupted by the DJs saying that Wade has a bounty on his head. Now, we never learn what crime he committed. Was this bounty set by a couple of rogue gun agents? We don't know, but now we need an excuse to go meet Wade's family. So episode 2, I think, kinda stupid, but inoffensive. There you go. If you'd remove the silly bowling and this buyer nonsense, maybe make it about Wade and his ability to protect Green Hills without Tom around, mash these 2 episodes up, and you'd have, well, not exactly a well-balanced story between Wade and Knuckles, but you at least have something close to a movie-length side story ready to go. I mean, Wade did it, right? He proved that he had shown courage while he goofily stumbled his way through a rescue. He didn't back off in the face of danger. There, a warrior is born. Granted, it still feels silly that Knuckles didn't actually train Wade during any of this time. But hey, surely we'll get to see that at some point in these next 4 episodes, right? We head off into episode 3, and I do not like the mom, and I do not like Wanda. Didn't think we'd get even more cartoony than what we've seen so far, but holy hell, this is a try-hard performance with some rough dialogue. Heard the show was made during the writer's strike, and yeah, it shows. This episode's, oh man, it's rough. But it's not without its bright spot here or there. I did think the flashback showing Wanda beating the crap out of Wade while their mom looked on exhausted was really funny. And I think the mom thinks Wade and Knuckles are dating. It's kind of subtle, but when Wade first shows up, his mom asks if he brought a girlfriend and if she's Jewish. After she's properly introduced to Knuckles, she once again asks, is he Jewish? Could be a stretch, but to me it sounds like she's open-minded to the idea of her son not only being gay, but into furries. So hey, there you go, another win for you 06 fans. And hey, look, no judgments on my end. That's a Knuckles with an Idris Elba in his throat. And I'm a proud simp monk. Go wild, you crazy kid. A grand majority of the episode focuses on a Shabbat dinner. Now, I do think it is a little weird to stop everything to give us a lesson in religious practices, but I don't know, I'm not exactly a spiritual guy, despite the best efforts of some folks leaving weird, creepy essays in the comments of my videos. God bless. Part of me felt like this was a little preachy, and maybe it is here and there. And yes, I know, I did a double take when I heard that line.
My people were killed by a race of giant owls.
Our tribe has been through some tough times too.
Yeah, I know, I was shocked too. Referencing Ken Pender's work of all things crazy. At the very least, everything happening here sounds like it's coming from someone who grew up in this type of household. None of these jokes seem demeaning, and there are some decent ones here and there, and it also helps Knuckles better understand the idea of home, observing the customs of other tribes and appreciating what they literally bring to the table. That bread is pretty rad, and we can add it to the list of things Knuckles allows himself to eat. That list includes grapes and Cool Ranch Doritos. Don't forget the Doritos. Again, I get what they're trying to do here, and truth be told, I don't mind these quieter moments where characters can properly interact, and the fight scene later on is fine, I guess. It's good to see Knuckles get a little action in here, but I don't think I needed an entire episode of this. I certainly didn't need a joke about Wade beating his weird little pud to a piece of cardboard. My problem is, again, all of this is in service to Wade, and again, if you like Wade, good for you. If you like Wanda, I don't know know what's wrong with you. Good God, I get it. They're playing up the silly sibling nonsense. Even as adults, I'm just tired. We're halfway through the show, and a sixth of it is just Jewish jokes. I don't know, I hate these characters. Let's just get to episode 4, the most contentious episode of the whole bunch, partially because this features the least amount of Knuckles, but at the same time, there's more here about Knuckles than any other portion of this series. Things kick off with Wade being kidnapped by his former best friend, Jack Sinclair, with Wanda and Knuckles watching him get dragged off by a motorcycle, which is a horrible way to die, and better believe he would die. What the hell is that robe made out of? And Knuckles says that to be a true warrior, Wade needs to rescue himself. That's, okay. Pretty hands-off training there, Nux. I've yet to see any training, now that I think about it, but that's been pretty consistent so far. The only training I've seen between these two happens in the opening credits on those blank CDs, the same ones where they keep Angel Island. So, from my understanding, all the important things you'd watch this show for happen there.
Do you even know why there's a price on my head?
Actually, Wade, I don't think any of us know why there's a bounty on your head. The show never bothered to tell us.
Do you even care?
So Whipple is now stuck in a cage that is attached to the stretch Hummer that was alluded to back in the first episode. So again, if you found any of that stuff funny, you're at least getting some callbacks. But these jokes they're not doing it for me. And I would not let Jack Sinclair near any of my kids. I'll tell you that much. The cage can also electrocute you if you touch it. You're really selling that in that performance, Adam Pally. But like, the switch is right there on the cage. Just reach out and turn it off, man. As he's being carted away, Wade gets a call from Knuckles. Yes, he knows how to use phones now, I guess. Also, Wade, you do have a phone on you. Why haven't you called for help? And why do you think Jack is prank calling you? It's 2024. Look at your screen. How old is this joke? I'm so tired. Anyway, Knuckles tells Wade to meditate, and that will take him to their ancestral planes, the great battleground in the sky, which, okay, fine. Maybe we can finally see some sort of Angel Island. Nope, it's a bowling alley and a bunch of cardboard cutouts. Thanks, guys. Here, Wade will learn how to find the warrior within. So Wade gets shocked and knocked out, and that, my friends, is the extent of training Knuckles gives to Wade. He just passes his responsibilities off to Doc Brown, where we get a joke about how to pronounce his name, even though I'm pretty sure he says his own name differently within 10 seconds of each other, and Wade will have his lesson taught to him by means of a low-budget rock opera. Oh my god, they whitewashed Knuckles. Well, I guess this is the closest thing we're ever gonna get to a live-action Sonic Man. And who knows, maybe that was intentional, because it's clear from this silly little play that they're referencing Sonic 06, The Flames of Disaster, and I swear to God, Iblis. We also get to see the death of Knuckles' father in the form of a puppet, and while we're on references, I can't help but feel like they were dancing with the devil here, because that puppet looks an awful lot like Locke from the Archie series. Wait, if Patchy could be a Jedi ghost, why wasn't Knuckles' dad? Why didn't he visit Knuckles? How does any of this work? Now, anyway, this is where I'm torn. And I've seen people declare this the best episode of the series, and I've seen others deride this as the worst, and I kind of feel both. See, I can appreciate what this is on its own terms. It's got Lonely Island, it's got Mighty Boosh, and hell, those folks made careers out of this kind of entertainment. They know what they're doing, and it's a genuinely fun sequence. The music is catchy, some of the jokes are charming. I can see why anyone enjoys this, and I'm not going to be such a curmudgeon and say this was awful. I did genuinely find a good amount of enjoyment from this. I think my major problem is, this is the story I wanted to see. I wanted to see Knuckles go on an adventure, discover something about himself, and conquer the trials that lay before him. Now for Wade, and the silly boy that he is, it makes sense that his perspective would be shown in this way. I can even justify the way they downplay just how vicious the Echidna tribe actually was, because again, Wade's a childlike idiot, so it would make sense for the story to be presented through such a goofy and simplified lens, especially since this is shared by an ancestor of Knuckles. But the problem is, that's the only way we have ever been shown this story. I understand that it'd be pricey to do all of this in CG, but come on, this is only a 6-episode show. We couldn't have gotten this as a traditionally animated shorter feature, not even a comic book. This is the most focus we get on the story of Knuckles, and it's done with a silly song while references are dangled in front of our faces like we're babies. And they couldn't even get the references correct when they're showing us some behind the scenes garbage. For God's sakes, it's not that hard. So yeah, I'm a little offended here. It just leaves me genuinely torn. I can understand if you love this, and honestly, it's great to see Julian Barrett do what he does best, but I didn't come here to see this. Presented in a vacuum, it feels lacking. It teases us with a story that would be far more fitting for Knuckles, and it's still all in service to Wade. He's learning a lesson by seeing the world through Knuckles' eyes. Is this how Knuckles views the world? I've loved this character for 30 years, and this is how we get his backstory? With a stupid Facebook Marketplace joke? Look, I can at least put my selfish rage aside enough to say that this particular sequence is indeed a standout for the series. Again, they got people who are really good at this stuff, who have made a lot of projects I personally enjoy. And in the right mood, I could absolutely enjoy this more. It's well choreographed and well sung. No, it's not my preference when one of my favorite characters in fiction is severely lacking in adaptations, but this is a unique and creative piece, something unlike anything else in the franchise, and for what it does, I think this is worth watching. I got a genuine laugh with it abruptly ending with Wade just punching his way out of the top of the cage. Yeah, I can't ignore the rest of the problems. I can't help but feel teased by something I actually wanted, because it shows me that the creators of this understood the assignment, and they understood that they could produce something better, something that followed the journey of Knuckles. It's a very, very weird split for me, something I'm sure will spark a lot of interesting discussion, so I'd love to know what you guys think. But then we get the rest of the episode, and I gotta be honest, it just feels like they were just running down the clock with jokes that drag on way too long. You could have made some of these stupid jokes work a little bit better with some editing. We don't need a whole conversation with the kids to get the bike. If they just had Wade look over to the kids and then the next scene he had a bike, that'd been much funnier. Why am I trying to fix this stupid duel? Where the hell is Knuckles? We don't even get a B story with him. They lost all the momentum they had with that musical number, and then we drag out this awkward showdown between Jack and Wade. But hey, at least we get the hat. There it is, guys. There's the OVA hat. Everyone freaks out every time we see it, even though we've seen it like 10 damn times in the last 2 years. Knuckles doesn't even earn this hat. Wade does. Oh, and the jacket kind of looks like Scourge's, especially with that green undershirt later on in the bowling tournament. I mean, that could be a reference. Clearly, these guys have done their research. After all, we did get Angel Island from Sonic 2. And I'm noticing as the show goes on, what's supposed to be more grounded versus what's more surreal is beginning to blur. Like, yeah, the first episode, we had Jack's card talk crap to Wade, which is a little much, but I just took that to be Wade's imagination, kind of in line with how we expected to rescue Knuckles. And once again, in this episode, with that dream sequence, there's a clear line in the sand between the outlandish and whatever reality is supposed to be in this universe. But now, we do have the stretch limos and Supermaning out of electric cages and jousting with katanas and bicycles. I know it sounds like I just hate fun, but good God, this is so much nonsense. Again, I completely understand if the rock opera is a high point for you, but the rest of this episode just keeps going.
Don't look at me. Don't look at me!
I don't want him, man. Let's go already. Finally, we get back to Knuckles, who declares Wade is ready, even though the echidna had nothing to do with him getting ready, and then proceeds to steal the hat and his place on the bike. I gotta wonder if that's eventually gonna be Shadow's bike for the next movie. Guess we'll see. We've now spent 2 episodes at a complete standstill with 2 obnoxious characters, but hey, we can finally move on and away from Wade's mother and sister. And oh, God damn it. The 5th episode kicks off with Damn It Feels Good to Be a Gangster, and I promise you it's only in there because a producer watched Office Space. I refuse to believe they heard that song anywhere else, because we also later get a reference to Dodgeball. The show is nothing but references to early 2000s movies. Our heroes finally arrive in Reno, the Spring Yard Zone to Las Vegas's Casino Night Zone, or Las Vegas for Losers. Real clever there, Paul Scheer. Be ready for a lot of these classy zingers in these next 2 episodes. To be fair, they are really gassing this town up. I was there last month, and buddy, it's looking kind of rough. They should have added a faceless clown for authenticity. I will give them this. We do have a little bit of a Casinopolis vibe going on. That Vegas flavor has always been a long-standing staple of Sonic environments, so I will give them points for that. Granted, they could have just used Vegas, but hey, we'll take what we can get. The family meets up in a casino/hotel. It's Nevada. Everything's a casino there, and they plan to all go do their own thing. Wanda says she wants to go get drunk. Silly me, you're right, this is a kid's show. Come on, children, let's all go get Wandaritas. Can't wait for Nickelodeon to awkwardly edit that out. If you don't know, Sonic 2 recently aired on Nickelodeon, and they kept cutting out all the alcohol references in the most graceful fashion.
You're at the Four Seasons Oahu. Enjoy some time with your wife.
You're at the Four Seasons.
She was saying spend time with your wife, by the way.
We're cool.
Yeah, we're mad cool.
Knuckles said I was! So once they part ways, we're introduced to Pistol Pete, decked out head to toe in the Union Jack because, as we all know, the UK and everyone from it is evil. Thanks again to Channel Pup for editing the video and Stevie Cole for the thumbnail art. What is happening here? Are we allowed to make fun of British people like this still? Is that okay? I guess so. Why is he called Pistol Pete? Guns don't exist in the UK. It's a cowboy name. You and I know it. It's a cowboy name. This is dumb. I hate this. We have yet another character more cartoonish than the actual cartoon character who, at this point, is just Wade's pet dog. And he's just hanging out in the open. I'm so confused. Does this world know about Sonic and Friends or not? They keep showing up in crowds of people, but then we get Wade's mom who faints when she meets Knuckles. Also, how did she meet Pistol Pete if she's so traditionally Jewish and this dude is British as all get out? I don't even think he's kosher. Oh, God, who cares?
Do you even care?
You win, show. I'm done questioning all of this. I just need this to end. Yeah, so Wade approaches his daddy as Knuckle guides him through the conversation via AirPod. The tropes and cliches just keep piling up. I feel like I'm catching on to a bunch of ways they're trying to involve Knuckles without actually having to animate him or pay Idris Elba even more. Now he's in a bush. Now he's in Oh my god, it's the villains. I forgot they existed. We get some backstory and it flirts with being interesting. Turns out the buyer, yes, that's what they're calling him. They literally don't name the main antagonist of this piece. I wasn't kidding. Anyway, he used to work for Robotnik, but once Aggie lost his mind and was defeated by Sonic, the Shadow Ops program he ran turned into Gun, and they attempted to cut all ties from the Mad Doctor, including an attempt to assassinate this buyer. Obviously, that didn't work out for them, and he went on to build an underground empire. The British lady also finally gets a chance to explain her ideals, just like we did with Cootie's character back in the second episode. I just kind of brushed over all that. Basically, he joined Gun as an excuse to be violent, and the horrible wig lady joined up because she saw Sonic and pals as a genuine threat with all the power they contain with just their hair, and talks a bit of trash about fake weddings. And you know what? I'm with you there, girl. Absolutely. That was very stupid. I'll at least say this much. She's making a couple of rational points. Now, I don't know why we're getting this in episode 5 out of 6, but better late than never. That rationale is enough for the buyer to give them one last shot to take out Knuckles. And we've just given up pretending this show's for kids, right? I mean, it's fine. The show stopped pretending it was about Knuckles.
That's right. It's poor man's baseball. Bowling.
Poor man's baseball? What even is that joke? Who's ever compared bowling to baseball? Can you tell all these comedians came from improv? And I'm glad they're as enthused as I am about bowling, because there is a lot of it in the last 2 episodes of this show, which obviously you should have expected when clicking on a show called Knuckles. One of these teams is called Queen Pins with 2 flamboyant older gentlemen. Is that progressive or offensive? I can't tell anymore. I probably got in trouble just for pointing that out. I'm sorry. I'm very good at making people mad these days. And what the hell is this editing? Is this Ang Lee's Hulk? Who is this for? I feel like I'm watching a Happy Madison movie made for kids. This sucks so much. And where the hell is Knuckles?
And well, that's basically it. The birds and the bees.
And there's another sex joke. Hell yeah, love to keep thinking about Wade's wang. We then get a heart-to-heart between Wade and Pistol Pete, and no matter how cartoonish these 2 characters are, it looks like they're trying to tackle this incredibly complicated issue of abandonment and trying to find some sort of closure and maybe build some kind of relationship. And then Wade has a real-ass talk with his mom about the whole thing. And look, if you've been feeling for Wade this whole time, this is a solid enough scene. It's just, you know, like, what is this show? They're having a heart-to-heart about a clearly evil cartoon British man. And of course, he betrays the family and hands them over to Jesse and James, who tells Wade to go get Knuckles, who has been chilling in a hotel room during almost all of this episode. Oh no, is Wade gonna betray Knuckles? Well, no, turns out Knuckles had been listening the whole time through an AirPod. Remember that from earlier? Wow, what a payoff. Wait, how is he wearing those things? What does Knuckles' ears look like? Not like they needed these AirPods anyway. They just sent Wade down to the room on his phone, so they made sure they could hear everything that happened. Like, Wade could have just written a note. There are so many other ways to telegraph to Knuckles that his family's in I said I was done. Let's just keep going. So yeah, episode 6 kicks off with Knuckles taking out Tweedledee and Tweedledum again. while Wade goes to rescue his mother and sister.
Man, using my cat-like reflex is a natural ability to be overlooked.
Really wish you used that ability more often in the show, bud. Now we have this extended scene of Wanda being Wanda, and I just get back to Knuckles, please. Oh my god, just get back to Knuckles. I will say, I was so very, very satisfied watching Knuckles punch portal rings back to the baddies, which causes a vortex they get sucked into, and they gotta be dead as hell. That was awesome. Now that's thinking with portals. But after that, we get more bowling.
I have not yet begun to bowl.
Oh my god! Oh wait, there's a Knuckles cameo. Did you see? He was ordering bread. It's gone. Back to bowling. This goes on for, I don't know. I don't care. Finally, Knuckles gets to do something as the buyer shows up. Yes, the villain finally meets Knuckles. And would you look at that, we can add Iron Man 2, Spider-Man 2, and Spider-Man 2 to the list of movies these producers have seen. Whoops. Sorry. Gotta get back to bowling, where we get more stupid riffing. I think Wade says Knuckles is his real dad, and eventually we get back to Knuckles. Yeah, fighting a generic robot is pretty cool, except Knuckles gets wasted pretty quick, only to be saved by the power of bowling. Good job, Wade. Glad all that training paid off. See, it counts as a warrior as long as you use your stupid hobby in a fight. He says some shit, who cares? Knuckles gets back up and kills the nameless hobo. And I mean, straight up kills him. I gotta admit, that was sick. Yeah, I know, it's a reference to a Sonic Adventure move. Show ends in a freeze frame. But oh, there's an extra scene where they play the warrior again. Oh, just in case you weren't sick to death of that song at this point, because let's be real, you watched all of this show in one go, because Paramount released a 6-episode miniseries all on the same day. Likely because they knew this was crap and they could get away with doling this out week by week. So yeah, that's the Knuckles Show. It's not a show for kids, it's not a show for adults, it's not a show for Sonic fans, but a vehicle for Adam Pally and his pallies to make stupid jokes and go bowling in Reno. Filled to the brim with a bunch of comedians who probably make fun of you for giving a crap about Knuckles. Paul Scheer runs a podcast called How Does This Get Made? He just makes fun of silly movies. That's his whole job. I see Sonic fans complaining about cynical this or that. Buddy, this is about as cynical as it gets. I'm seeing fans debating Knuckles' screen time, but that's not even the most offensive part of this show to me. It's what they do with that screen time, what they do with this script. I don't need constant references to the games. I don't need it to be one for one with what's been told before. But for God's sake, was it too much to ask for a story about Knuckles? Because it's not. It's about Wade and his family and his bowling. There's no room for Knuckles to breathe. Oh, he's trying to find his home? Where'd he come to terms with that? While watching TV? Because he did that a whole lot. They don't leave room to tell a story about Knuckles. So if you are a fan of this character, well, hey, at least you got a puppet show. Look, I get that this, at the end of the day, is just a television show. It's a piece of media. It's a product, it's fiction, and compared to other things, it's really not that big of a deal. Trust me, I got ripped apart on Twitter because I feel it's important to draw a clear line in the sand between offensive art and real-world monsters. But even when it is a silly show about a video game character, that doesn't mean you can't feel how you feel about it, and that doesn't mean you aren't justified in those feelings. So yeah, if it made you laugh, good for you, it made you laugh. But if it bugged the hell out of you, yeah, I get it. This bugged the hell out of me. So yes, I am gonna say this is one of the worst experiences I have ever had with this franchise. No, it's not technically the worst piece of Sonic media, but screw it, I think it kind of is. Because at least with those janky games and sloppy comics, they had Sonic characters in them. And good job to everyone just compiling a list of how much crap is in this franchise. Why are you all trying to race to the bottom? Oh, is it worse than Sonic Jam on the Gamecom? Technically, no. But the Knuckles Show is on a much bigger stage, and in turn is a much bigger deal. I love Knuckles. Sonic 3 and Knuckles helped me fall in love with the medium of video games. It started me on the path of digging in deeper to not just these characters and stories, but how this helped shape me as a person. This is a touchstone in my life. I have a job talking about how much I love this stuff, and I found a community of people I can connect with, and yes, even argue with, because we are all passionate about these characters. This is Knuckles' 30th anniversary year, and I have loved that character all of that time. And I'm now supposed to be ashamed of that? I'm not supposed to get mad when all the marketing says that this is a show about this wonderful character? Yeah, I'm gonna be mad when they take all the focus away from him, so this can be a vehicle for Adam Pally and his pals to tell jokes that stop being funny back in all the stupid movies they won't stop referencing. No, I didn't have the highest expectations in the world, but holy hell, I expected a little better showing than this train wreck. I am a passionate Sonic fan, and I wanna love everything related to Sonic, but sometimes that passion is fiery. It's hard not to get a little angry, because yeah, I was pissed at the wedding scene, because I didn't want more and more of this cringy crap overtaking the Sonic of it all. And this thing, this trash fire of a show, this is so ashamed to be a Sonic product. So yeah, I do think this is worse than those horrible Archie comics, or Sonic 06, or Sonic Chronicles, or Rise of Lyric, or any other garbage you guys keep bringing up, because at least it has something to do with Sonic. At least some of these things had something interesting to say. For God's sakes, this show somehow made elements of Sonic 06 worse. How do you do that? Knuckles changed everything for this franchise. He was a rival that brought in so much to that world. Angel Island and the Master Emerald. That's not even mentioning the gameplay elements or his dynamics with the other characters, and they immediately screwed all that momentum up by throwing him into chaotics. And then they threw the character aside altogether the moment Shadow showed up. The second Sonic movie brought that hype back for Knuckles, only to have this show completely screw up that momentum, and let's be real, he'll probably be overshadowed in movie 3. He can't even have his own anniversary year. And I can't even vent about this show because I'll have people jumping down my throat because, according to some of you, I'm not allowed to tell others not to watch this show when they ask me if they should watch it. And why is that? Why does it matter what I say compared to anybody else? It's probably because I have an audience. And as I keep learning from Sonic fans, everyone is terrified when a YouTuber talks crap about anything Sonic related. But if you're worried about the influence of influencers, well, that's something I'm concerned with as well. Like I keep mentioning, I've seen plenty of you compare my issues with the Knuckles show to the Freedom Fighters or other non-Sonic elements eating up pages of comics. But this isn't a comic. The Sonic movies and this show have more viewers on it than probably any of the games ever had. This is the big time. This is here to show Sonic and his world off to everybody. And when you get to that point, when you get to that big of a stage, ask yourself, Sonic fan, what do you want the world to see? Fine, sure, it's not the worst piece of Sonic media to ever exist. I will calm down from that extreme. But it's not a fair comparison when you look at crappy older Archie stories. Back in the days when they had barely anything to work off of. And this isn't some quick crash grab side project like Sonic Jam. This isn't some bit of satellite media that Sega is trying to ignore. So yeah, I take this a little bit more seriously because this, unlike everything else I mentioned or everything else you guys try to compare this to, is not going to have any sway over the franchise overall. And I'm not here to watch Rachel. I'm not here to watch Wade. And I'm so sick and tired of making the excuse that this is for the normies. This is for the non-Sonic fans. I've never understood that. Why wouldn't you want to show the rest of the world why we love these characters as much as we do? There's a reason why Knuckles, even after 30 years and spending a good chunk of that time not properly handled, still had everyone losing their minds when he was announced for the second movie. I want to share that excitement. I want to share that passion. I want everyone else to see why these characters matter so much to me. I want kids to lose their minds at the sight of a giant island in the sky. And yeah, selfishly, the man-child that I am wants to see all of that too, because I never got to see that as a kid. I never got more than what these silent sprites were trying to represent on the screen. Say what you want about Ken Penders, but at least that guy was earnest. At least he gave a damn. At least he tried. And that's not even mentioning Ian Flynn and the level of care he's given to the echidna. No, I don't care if you're mad about the script of Sonic Frontiers. At least that game referenced Sonic stuff and tried to tell you that the history of the series mattered, not incorrectly reference a piece of cardboard while a bunch of C-list comedians act like they're still in an improv troupe. This is cowardly, this is mindless, this is tedious. Sonic Prime's biggest problem was overstaying its welcome, and somehow this show felt even longer to me. And even with its moments of brilliance, which do again deserve acknowledgement, I'm sorry. This sucked. I know I'm usually a little bit more cheerful, and maybe in a few years I'll calm down. It's not like this can only be the only Knuckles show that ever exists. It's not like there there aren't more things to come in the future. And I'm still excited for the third movie. And overall, I still enjoy this version of Knuckles as a character. But if I had to sum it up, it felt like this show was put together for the guys who said Sonic was never good. I could be dead wrong. I don't know any of these people. And again, I enjoy a lot of them for their individual talents. I rolled my eyes at Dodgeball and Office Space, but hell, I love those movies. I love Mighty Boosh. Certainly love the Ninja Turtles. But I don't love this. And you know what? I think it's okay to push back a little hard sometimes. I think it's okay to say, hey, I love you, but you're goofing up. You're damn right, I'm biased as hell. I'm a Knuckles fan, and I have been my entire life. There are certain things I wanted to see, and no, this was not what I wanted it to be, and I'm gonna be grumpy about it. This character deserves better, and this fan base deserves better. And yeah, there you go. One of the angriest, ranty videos I've ever put on this channel. I promise we'll get back to more fun things. I just had to get this off my chest, and this has been sitting with me for quite a while. Alright. Well, thank you all for sticking through all of this. If you made it this far, thank you. And yes, even to those of you who I've offended, if you made it this far just to hear me out, I'd gladly hear your opinions in the comments. I know I was a brat on Twitter. Very sorry for all that. I'm very sorry for the tasteless jokes too. But I've calmed down, chilled out, I'm ready to face that fire. Just let me have it. Either way, thank you for sticking around, genuinely. And an extra special thank you to the folks who helped this channel stay alive. And that includes Kyle Winter, Cyrus the Skeptic, Joseph Duncan Sonic 2 Blue, Josh Strider, Trey Nobles, Hathworth, Tiny Jericho, Ginger Bob, Jack of All Spades, Tristan Trap, Meekers, Dun Dun, Bo, Quote, Resident Fanboy, Miles the Prower, Singer J199, Sam Webster, Fishflop, Lucas Lipker, The Bad Pal, Jonathan Dobbs, Clover Chats, Chad. I've sent my evil clone to find some helium. Cecil the Gallade, The Dark Neon, Stefan Placonica, 3 Monic, Graham J. Hall, Lenny X, Wayne is Boss, Letteric, David 20 Covers, and remember, CG Forever. Kaylee Ann Williams, The Lumberjack, Trash Baphomet, The Pyromane. Why did I say The Pyromane? That Pyromane. I'm so sorry. Enerjack 5, Grayson Coniger, Xerxes the Renegade Jin, Ken K, Ven 101, Paxton Bisbee, Sindarin 7, Benui. Thank you for the beautiful art again, Stevie. Twilord. Oh no, I've used up all the helium. What am I meant to do now? Eric Delgado, Crimson Rose, Municent, Roxas the Cat, Godzilla, Makuta of Salt, Gleam the Anomaly, Alexander Watson, Neil Gamba, Conan Kudo, The Lex, the most powerful ship in the 2 universes, Kaido Prower, Spearmint, Duo, The Cat, Omega Man 21, Penn Adelaide, Jamie Torres Jr., Daza S, the world's most unironic 8.5 tail stand, one more Sonic robot. There's helium on the sun. Try looking there. What is happening? MT Mecha, Gob, the RSI, Radiant Starlight, OhGreatGames.com, and Sebensol, the SS Sanjik Sailor. Ahoy, shipmates. Ahoy, Sebensol. Alright, guys, and that is going to do it. I have been recording and whining for a very long time, and I finally feel free of my burden. I can finally heal. What a painful journey this has been. Toot toot, Knuckles Warriors. God, that stupid song even ruined my outro.